Whether you're watching live or on replay, welcome to Thought of the Day. My name is Andrea Sampson, and I'm the CEO and founder of Talk Boutique and the Thought Leader Academy. And today's Thought of the Day is to rehearse or not rehearse. Which one is the one for you? I get asked a lot what I do for a living. And when I tell people that I'm a thought leader coach and a speaker's coach, one of the first things they say is, "Oh, you know what? I never rehearse. I'm so much better when I don't rehearse." And I understand that sentiment. I understand that it feels like you're showing up more naturally, right? You're not planning all of your body language and your words. But the reality is, it's not about you. It's about your audience. And you see, what's important about rehearsing is that when we rehearse, we're doing a couple of things. First of all, we're deciding on the story that we're going to be telling. We understand the idea that's going to be living inside of that story. And we know how our body language is going to best hold that idea that we're putting out there, and how our body language will help us as a speaker convey it in a way that works for us and for the audience. When I used to work in advertising, I was a strategist and a planner, and that meant that I did a lot of research and a lot of presentations. And I used to spend hours and sometimes even days getting my presentation decks ready. I mean, I would agonize over slides. I'd make sure my data and research were valid and understandable. And then on the day of the presentation, I'd be up in front of the client presenting. And I would often find that I had forgotten to figure out how to present slide to slide. I knew each slide intimately. I had built them, I knew what to say on them. But what I didn't know was the connectors between them. And as a result, sometimes it felt a little awkward. Sometimes it felt like I didn't know what I was talking about, or the story wasn't quite clear. And so, rehearsing was absolutely essential. And I learned this in a really big way when I started working with TEDx speakers and in the TEDx world, because rehearsals are not an option. They are an absolute necessity. In fact, that's one of the biggest things we do when we're working with TED speakers is we rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. Why? Because it's not just about the data or the information or even the story that they're telling. We all watch TED Talks and often we think, my God, it looks like they're just telling us a story. And that's true. But that comes from literally hours and hours and hours of rehearsal. Because what we've done is we've taken that story and we've helped that speaker to have that story live in their body naturally. It's not just in their head. They're not just conveying information. They're experiencing that information through their gestures. And those gestures are helping them to remember, because that's what we do when we communicate. We naturally gesture. We use these gestures in a way that help us to form thoughts. I remember years ago reading a statistic that said that even blind people gesture. Why? Well, because actually gesturing is part of how our mind remembers things. They're cues for our words. So when I get asked if rehearsals are necessary, I always say yes. I rehearse everything I do. I mean, I even rehearse this thought of the day. Why? Because I care about you, my audience, and I care about the message I'm conveying. I want it to be understandable. I want you to get that core message so that you can do something with it. So for me, rehearsals are always a yes. You know, when we're in front of an audience, we're not just showing up with our words and our gestures, but we're also showing up with all of how we look and how we present ourselves. And part of that is our personal brand. And maybe you haven't heard it yet, but we are offering a masterclass on Tuesday, April 30th, called Get the Job or the Project or even the Client you really deserve. Now, this is all about personal branding. It's about building all the elements of your personal brand so that you can be intentional, taking your good reputation and now intentionally turning it into a personal brand. And when you do this, you can get the dream job, the dream project, or even the dream client that you really want. Building a personal brand is a valuable tool and a skill that's going to help you to build your influence, your impact, and even your income. So join us on April 30th. Just click on the link below to register. And because you're part of my community, use the code LI-VIP and get this masterclass for free. And don't forget, follow me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube so you don't miss any of our thoughts of the day. I'll see you back here on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend.